Hey everybody, John here with The Wealth of Self. I just wanted to hop on quickly and touch base. I know we have a very small and humble audience right now, but these things have to start somewhere, right? I am very excited though because I feel like I've worked out a lot of the kinks with the production process that will allow me to sort of sit down and record sessions with individuals and really present you with stories on a more regular basis. That's always been the concept behind The Wealth of Self. And in addition to The Wealth of Self, I've also tinkered with the idea of this project called the One Posterity Project, which is really a documentation effort, if you will. You think about the people in the world's history who are best documented. They're usually the kings and the queens and, the war generals and people who were sort of victorious throughout the course of history. And that makes sense. The victors are the ones who write the history books. Whether that's a good or bad thing, I'll leave it up to you to decide. But, everybody has a story, and I think it's important to have a platform where people can share their voices in a high-quality way. And I've always approached the filmmaking and videography and photography fields from a very high production value standpoint, and I want to provide that for people who come on to the show and to let them know that when you visit with me and you have a conversation and share your story, it's going to be high quality, and that's what I want people to feel comfortable and know that whatever they decide to share, it's going to be documented in a kind of pristine manner. So what I wanted to hop on here really briefly to talk about is actually transitions. I'm going to have my second episode, hopefully tonight, with a young man named Josh Pinkney. He is someone I've been connected closely to since moving to D.C. He's a former Marine, so that would qualify him as a veteran at this point, serving 4 or 5 years, I think, with the Corps. And I've been fascinated and excited to tell his story because I think for all of us, we have these periods of transition in our lives. And really, some of life's most pivotal moments happen in those transition phases. For a lot of people, that could mean you're finishing high school and you're going into a university program. For others, maybe that's finishing high school and you're entering the workforce or a trade school or something of that nature. For people who decide to do the military or serve their country, that's a challenging thing for a lot of these folks. Now, I know that there are many people who utilize their time in the military very strategically, and upon exiting, they're off to the races. They've made their connections. They know they're in, and as soon as they're done with their service routine, they're off to the next big thing. I think for other people, it can be really challenging because you sort of move away from this life of structure into the unknown. You're looking for a job. You're trying to figure out how to build and maintain a routine because nobody's yelling at you and telling you how to, lace your boots in the morning or how to fold your sheets or any of these crazy things that, go on in the military for good reason to teach people about discipline and regimen. But that's something I'm very excited to talk to Josh about. Because I know that over the course of the last year, he's been in that transition phase. He's left the military and now he's doing amazing work with the State Department. And I think people out there who are in a similar position would really benefit from hearing from Josh to know how he has navigated that and what some of those challenges have looked like for him. But on the note of transition, I just want to give a word of encouragement to everybody out there listening. My life up to this point has been full of these transitions, some easier than others. Leaving college and deciding to move across the country to Washington, D.C., not really knowing specifically what I wanted to do career-wise at that point. And then not feeling like I really fit in here and deciding to take my life to the other side of the world and move to Korea and living there for 2 years. Talk about a transition. That was a big one. And then the equally difficult transition of finishing my time in Korea as an English teacher and moving back to the United States. That was also really tough, having to readjust to life in the States and still sort of answering some of those questions about what am I doing? What am I going to sort of do with my life? I had a much better idea coming back, thankfully, and have sort of, put my nose to the grindstone and really tried to make some headway in those areas. But all of us encounter these things, and I think for each of us, it affects us differently, some more drastically than others. Some people can really roll with the punches, and other people, they kind of struggle with this. And so regardless of who you are, I think I just want to let you know that there are other people out there who feel that same level of anxiety about change. They feel that same level of uncertainty about what's next. It's not unnatural. In fact, it's probably the most natural thing you can feel. And in fact, if you are not feeling at least some level of anxiety about that next step that you're taking, chances are you're playing it a little too safe. There's a certain level of discomfort when it comes to change that's healthy. That's not just anticipated, but it kind of makes your heart beat a little faster, and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into? In a good way, right? But for anyone out there listening, I want to start releasing more of these, just sharing thoughts, sharing some wisdom when I can. By no means am I the wisest person out there, but I've lived a life too, and I'm still living it. And if it helps anyone out there to hear some words of positive affirmation, or to know that someone else is going through some of those same mental processes as you, if that helps, then I'm down for it. So thanks for continuing to support The Wealth of Self. I'm hoping that over the course of the next couple months, I can put more of these stories out there for you. And if you do have a story that you feel like is really worth listening to, somebody who's particularly interesting, maybe someone who's traveled a lot or been through a lot in life, and is also a good presenter, someone who would be willing to speak, I'd love to talk with them. Because at the end of the day, this is, again, about stories. It's about sharing the human existence, and about making us all feel a little closer to one another, and discovering our wealth of self, as the title suggests. So thanks for listening here to my spiel. I'll let you all go, but I want to start doing this more often. I've got this set up. It's easy for me to plop down here and just chat for a little while. And again, if it helps somebody out there, that's what I'm here for. So thanks for supporting The Wealth of Self. Have a wonderful night, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.